So that's kind of the next thing I'm looking towards. But I'm also open to, I meet a lot of people when I go to network. So if I meet someone that works at Google and they can tap me
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
I'm yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, I hear that, man. When it comes to like clearance, because that's actually a really good point, like GovCon type stuff, with sort of like the imbalances we've had this year. Were you ever worried in terms of like, you know, either losing your position or did you see coworkers like, being let go?
so in terms of layoffs, no, not at Lockheed. I know that's one of the reasons I picked a defense contractor to work at,
Yeah,
because it was more safe.
yeah,
They have these contracts.
yeah,
So what I can tell you that I've seen is, um, you know, top down level trickle down. So being that we work with the government, we had to come all the way back in office. I'm not going to say it was
ooh, yeah,
solely because of the administration,
yeah,
but I do believe it played a factor.
yeah,
So that's one thing that
yeah.
I've seen as things have changed.
Gotcha. Is it 5 days now?
No, we work 410, so
Okay,
4 days a week, 10 hours a day, and we have Fridays off. I'm not gonna
yeah.
lie, I do love that Friday off. It's the 3 day weekend every weekend, so
Gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha. Cool, man. What's your commute like to work?
It was like an hour and 20 or so, but I moved closer recently, like within the last 2.5 weeks, and now it's about 20 minutes.
Gotcha,
So not too bad. Yeah.
gotcha. Okay, cool. And then one last question on the clearance piece, because some people don't really understand this part, but I think I saw a post you made too about like when you have a clearance, like declaring where you're going, what you're doing, and things like that. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so all right. I'm gonna be transparent. When I came to Lockheed, I didn't know what they did for real. Not gonna lie. And I didn't realize I was gonna get a clearance. But prior after getting hired, I realized what that is. So a clearance, you can only get them if you like work with some classified work, or like the government is basically a government contractor. My bad, the company is a government contractor, and it costs about 3 to 15,000 to clear a person, and then from there you can have a secret clearance. You can get access to work on certain classified projects
Yeah,
depending on your level. And one thing I've also realized as well, that you have a lot more restrictions on yourself. So
yeah,
clearance is federal, so you are subject to federal law. So that means if you are in California and weed is legal there, but you have a clearance, you cannot smoke weed. What else? If you leave the country, you have to declare it and let the company know, or like kind of who's in charge of the clearance.
hmm,
So for example, I'm planning on going to Vietnam in February of next year. I'm gonna have to let them know,
yeah,
and there's certain countries I can't go to.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, I was actually going to bring up that last point. You literally mandated, because I have a TS, you literally mandated to stay within certain areas, and there's certain places you just can't go, regardless of like, oh yeah, but I'm only going to be doing snow. It doesn't matter. So,
Let
yeah.
me ask you a question. What
Hmm.
did you learn about the clearance, and what did I miss? Because you may know even more, because I haven't even used it for real. So
So I got my top secret when I was in the military. Actually, was a reserves soldier at the time. So the funny thing is, I was a cook in the military, but then I started like learning about Splunk, Linux, and stuff like that. And um, one of the colonels at the time was like, "Hey, I use Splunk on the civilian side because he also had like a civilian job, whatever that he was doing. Well, I don't know if he's not a civilian, but he was doing civilian type work. Um, and he ended up drafting me into like his office to kind of like help him with some like queries and things like that. So that's how I kind of got into that space. But then as I continued to um, advance my career and got more jobs that require the clearances, there's certain places I can go, and then there's certain like items I can bring with me. There's
mm,
individuals I can talk to. You
mm,
can affiliate with like you can't go out of the country, and this might be a given for some of you, but you can't go outside the country and work with certain government agencies, regardless of like whether it's a for good, for profit, like or nonprofit type work. There's certain things you just cannot do, regardless. So those are things that I've learned, and then from of course, I think you already know this as well. um, your financial records that matter. So you can't just like screw up on your credit. Like you gotta make sure your credit's on point.
Yeah.
If you owe like certain loans, things like that, and you're not paying back on things, that can get your clearance repealed very quickly. And then similarly, if you are affiliated with like felons, things like that, those relationships have to cut off. Like they have to cease immediately. So those are things that I learned, going through that process as well.
Have you had to take a polygraph test?
Nah, yeah, not full scope though. Yeah,
I
yeah,
know for some roles at my company, if I like apply and go higher, I'm gonna have to take a polygraph. At
yeah,
least that's what it says in there.
yeah.
So
And then you probably already know this as well, but for the viewers who may not, it's $50,000 plus when it comes to getting like a TS and then full scope as well. So that adds on top of your pay. So when you're looking for, I see you smile a little bit underneath. When you're looking for jobs that are looking for cleared roles, um, that salary band increases exponentially, and it's not just working directly for a government contractor. So like Google, some of these other like companies, they work directly with the government. They have, I forget what it's called. Why am I blanking? FedRAMP. So there's certain environments that have to be FedRAMP, which basically means that the government is authorized for you to do these things because it's cleared. So AWS has a FedRAMP in mind. I think GCP does now. Don't quote me on that. I think Azure definitely does. So they're authorized to be able to host certain infrastructure that the government has in whatever space that they're in. So because of that, oh, keep going. What's that? So because of that, it's important that individuals um, uh, know that they're going to get paid a lot more, because if you go for a company, or if you go work or try to work for Microsoft, Google, or AWS, and you're asking for the same salary band that somebody doesn't have a clearance, you're cheating yourself out. That could be 50,000 plus, because the
that's a
government, yeah, because the
game.
government is paying them that money to be able to um, maintain those facilities. So they're getting paid millions of dollars to maintain those facilities. So some of those millions goes into your pockets, not necessarily millions, but you get you get the drift there.